Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, Chip? What's going on, everybody out there in the On the Chain community? And Chip, I'll tell you what, last night, that State of the Union, that wasn't just a speech. That was a moment. It was actually one of the more perfect moments. It's supposed to be the longest State of the Union ever.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best. A moment that actually revealed exactly how divided this country has become. Not just became, has become, but we saw it, right? You saw it, you felt it. Lawmakers, they couldn't even stand up for victims of violence. I mean, it was so pathetic. We had a 99, 100-year-old World War II veteran, and, was getting Medal of Honor, and they couldn't stand up for that. It was really the contempt, just complete open contempt, open hostility, not just for a president, but for the presidency, right? For the office. Because when you're there to respect the presidency, right? The office of president. Doesn't matter who's holding it at that moment. And whether you loved it, hated it. I mean, it was just so undeniable that power was on full display. We heard every word that Trump said.
Yeah, if you think about it, it's not just what happened last night with the State of the Union. It wasn't like necessarily just politics. It's more along the lines, think about alignment, positioning is really signal, and markets don't really react to applause lines. They react to shifts in power. And when that divide becomes visible, capital, you can bet one thing, they're going to pay attention.
And Chip, the markets are definitely responding. And while Washington performed, institutions moved. Bitcoin price action suddenly was shifting. Months of suspicious 10 a.m. sell pressures just gone. Jane Street under scrutiny, liquidity games exposed, and suddenly the market is breathing. I don't know. Is it a coincidence, or was power repositioning itself behind the curtain? Were they waiting for this moment?
And right at the center of all, you guessed it, XRP. Regulatory clarity is approaching. Institutional rails are being built, and Flare is unlocking amazing new utility, especially for XRP holders. So while you have politics on one side, maybe they're going to be arguing the financial infrastructure of the next era is already being assembled.
I'm excited about that. So tonight we're going to connect the dots of the State of the Union. We're going to dig into that one. The political divide, again, on full display. Cheating, market manipulation, institutional strategy. And Chip, you brought it up. You brought up XRP. Where does it fit in? I don't know. No hysteria, no slogans, just power positioning and what it actually means next for all of us.
Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Where are you guys coming in from, guys? Where are you coming in from? Look at that. Good evening, gents. Good evening. Good evening. Glad you're here. Only one's here. It's going to be a fast show. One person. Thank you, one person who watches our show. Thank you, one person.
Chip, I went through on YouTube. There's a community button, and I haven't clicked it in a while. There are all these comments in the community. So I was going through and commenting, responding back to everyone. It was good to see so many people.
You know who it is. You guessed it. Exit 69.
Michigan. Exit 69. Michigan, I-70, Big Beaver.
Used to live about 1.5 miles from there in Troy, there, right down the road. So of course, stuff up. Like it was residential where all kinds of other stuff was. Did I go out or did you go out? Oh, you went out first.
I'm here.
For a second, you froze, and I wasn't sure if you froze. Or I can't tell because if I freeze, I don't see it on my side. It just looks like you froze. Right. And it could be that maybe I froze on my side, but yeah, you never really know what's going on in the whole thing. But yeah, last night was it was something, man. Yeah. It really was something. It's gotten so vicious. It's gotten so scandalous, and it's one thing. Look, if you don't want to get up, I know when there's a Democrat president, they're not smiling and everything, but they can get up for the things that matter, right? Mm-hmm. And the most, that's what I just didn't really understand. Mike, what's up, dude? Haven't seen you in a while. Just getting home. What's up, brothers? Haven't seen Mike Morath in here for a while. Mike Morath, 8348. I don't like what YouTube did. Why they pulled the trigger on that?
And
screwed up
everyone's
teams.
Mike, if you go to xrp.cafe and you log in and you say, and you look for offers, there's an offer out there for a badass Yeti that was given to you many months ago.
6 years ago or something.
It's a long time ago. It's just
or
been
maybe
sitting
6 months ago. Yeah, you got to go pick it up, man. You got to go get it. Get it. Get it while the getting's good, man. You have to get it.
It was a badass Yeti of the Blue Tribe.
It was a Blue Tribe member. Yeah, why don't you go
number 400?
Go do that. Do that now, Mike. So while we're on here, we don't have to. We make sure that you get it. Is there anybody else that was given? That's it.
No,
so
everybody else followed the tutorial.
Well, that's because there were a bunch of people that didn't pick it up. So it's good that
now they're all gone. They're all gone.
I'm glad to hear that. I am very.
We're waiting on our next batch of badass Yetis that we're going to pre-mint to give away. So
yeah, we just gotta go through a process. Gotta go through a process, guys. A process.
And the blue Yetis are almost gone. So can we restore your faith in XRP?
I don't know if that's possible.
I don't know.
Of course you can, dude. I mean, when Ripple comes out and says on Ripple Community Day, which were a couple of X spaces and multiple ones, you had Monica Long, Brad Garlinghouse announcing that it's their North Star, which means they're building everything with it in mind. And I thought that was really welcome news. Really important to hear that, because it's really easy to lose sight of that. And people thinking because RLS USD and they don't have it, they're not gonna do it anymore. It's just, that's not it at all. So I don't really think that you have to be worried too much. But really, when this Clarity Act comes together, I think it's really going to be the impetus for a market shift, because that's the final clarity they need. And really, what's really holding it up is the bankers are worried about outflows, which they should be. If you're getting a 0.25% interest the bank is paying you, and they're floating your money, making money on it in the background, and now you have exchanges where you can, or even banks can custody crypto, where you're going to get a yield anywhere from 4 to 8%. It's a pretty easy decision. It doesn't take a lot to figure out how to, which way to go with that. So that's where I think that they're coming close too. I think they're probably on a couple different points. The main things that matter and giving some clarity is going to be good, but they have to get it right. I have a think like middle March, April-ish. I know they just had another markup they're going to run by the Senate, so we'll see what happens. But that's really going to be the big deal. That is going to be the deciding factor, that particular one itself. So I think once that happens, we're in good shape. Good shape.
That's a big deal for the crypto market as a whole. Obviously, 100%. XRP was held back a lot due to the lawsuit. But, confidence, do you have confidence in the market? Confidence that XRP is it's sitting stable. Even though fluctuation, you go $1.30, $1.50, it's fluctuating in those ranges. XRP is doing exactly what XRP has always done. So if you think back in the in the heyday, right? Go back to 2017, heyday meaning before the big all-time highs, and you'll see XRP fluctuating between 17 cents and 24 cents, 27 cents, and then it'll drop back down to 16 cents. And it was always hovering in this range. Then finally, and Bitcoin was also hovering in big range, right? There was big movement on Bitcoin. Then when the all-time highs hit, everything shifted way up. But it was interesting because on the pullback after all these years, go back and watch what the market's doing. Obviously, Bitcoin's moves are much bigger because of the dollar amounts. But when XRP hits that plateau space, when everything's kind of going sidelined, its movements are relatively consistent. So to me, that's a good thing. If there were wild swings in XRP and it was being impacted volatility by maybe there's too low of volume being traded, so there's big swings in valuation of it, then I would be really concerned about it. But the fact that it holds tight, there's relatively large volume of trade going on, it's maintaining value, but it's speculative. So like most of the other assets that are out there, everybody's speculating that this asset is going to have bigger value someday. And you're going to go back and look at it historically, say, well, historically, this is where it's moved. So where's it going to go now? So so if XRP goes to 30 or 50 cents, that means Bitcoin is also going to pull back, because the market, the speculative market, the nature of the market, everything is trending with Bitcoin. But then with XRP, you would also have to make an assumption that all building on the XRPL disappeared, and that the entire community that has been supporting XRP for all these years dwindles and goes away. So
Yeah, it's not
all these holders that have been around for 10 years, just all of a sudden one day going to be like, you know what? I'm done with XRP, right? It's in this fluctuation moment, but there could be a point where Bitcoin goes to 200,000 and XRP still doesn't pass all-time highs. Then there's some trouble. But we saw XRP was almost near all-time highs, Chip, when Bitcoin was at 120,000. The whole market pulled back. Think Bitcoin was up at 120. Now it's sitting around 68. So
right, you want to talk about losing value, but it's the market.
crap.
It's always going to follow the leader, dude. It always has. People want it to break out. Listen, Bitcoin decides how the market's going to go, but I think
and it's new too, right, Chip? We're in a young market. We're talking about,
it's a very new market, and also too, I think that people don't realize that once there's actually some clarity in there, which is the first time ever. Think about, they had to get the stablecoin thing done first, right? That was important, and now and you have some market structure, and you kind of know where the guidelines are, and you're not guessing. You're not going back to 1933, 34, laws and 47 Howey test and all this stuff. It's going to be a hell of a lot better. But I'll always raise the point too about the ETFs. ETFs have changed the game too. It's like number 2 or number 1, where you have a lot of people piling in that. So you have, not only are the people holding it, but on ETFs, they're purchasing it. And now, because of 401ks and money markets and all kinds of things that are shifting the game to allow you to have a broader spectrum of people coming in, it doesn't mean it's not the same. It's not the same, but again, it does get purchased in the background, and it is important. And those have had the biggest inflows, and the ones that had the big outflows were Ethereum and also Bitcoin, where actually XRP's been pretty steady. I just saw today that SUI was approved for an ETF as well, upcoming ETF by the SEC.
Working on that. Yeah.
So that's interesting in itself, which I'm very, big bullish on that too. But
Litecoin's in there too.
Of course, Litecoin's in there. I'm always shocked that Litecoin's still around. Saw this post from T54 today. They put out this little video here. I'll get into it a little bit. We'll go into the post, but here it is.
The agentic economy is here. From your daily payments to billion-dollar treasuries, all managed by AI agents. But how can we trust agents with our money? T54 is the trust layer for the agentic economy. Every agent verified, every transaction assessed for risk, every outcome accountable before money moves. Without trust, the agentic economy doesn't work. T54 makes it possible. Backed by industry leaders.
So a very cool video that they put together there. And, here it is right here. Their post over there on X, AI agents already moving money, unverified and unaccountable. So today they announced that they're doing a 5 million seed round to build that trust layer for the agentic economy, led by Anagram, PL Capital, Franklin Templeton, and strategic investment from Ripple, who's already been, somewhat of a partner. And then Monica Long, the president of Ripple, said she's excited to see T54 building that trust layer for the agentic economy as autonomous agents begin managing and transacting with real capital. Trust infrastructure becomes a foundational piece of the equation. Proud to be at the forefront of AI innovations. Congratulations to the team, which is great. So, the agentic AI is a whole different thing. Agentic can do something on your behalf, right? You can authorize to do stuff. Where the AI we're used to is the prompting, right? You go into a text box, you type something, it returns something. Agentic, they can go and make trades, they can go assess risk, they can come back with things. You could set, your different, you could set, sell points, whatever you want to do along the way, and it can go ahead and execute that for you, which is really cool.
So, could you imagine, if you're looking at your charts and if you could set parameters with the agent and to start, trading and looking for the margins or looking for, setting up specific strategy, but the agent can implement strategy faster than you could ever implement it on shorter time, predictability. You know, I mean, you would have to sit there and estimate and map things out, you know, but the agent is going to analyze all this data in a instant. And so as you're starting to see trend movements, so I wonder how that impacts markets as a whole, as agents are the ones that end up trading everything instead of, you know, people. Now, if agents are trading and they're seeing all these systematic movements, does that then impact price movement? Because now you have all the agents, only agents are trading, buying and selling, and they're all instantaneous, you know, analysis. So do you get analysis paralysis where nothing happens now because all the agents are trying to analyze over the next agent and the market becomes stagnant?
Yeah, the biggest hype around AI has been OpenClaw, which was originally called Claude-Bot, but then Claude was pretty upset about that whole thing that they're calling it Claude, so they sent them cease and desist letters. So they had it was Claude, CLAWD bot, and now it's just OpenClaw. And then one of the probably biggest mishaps of all time, Claude sending them like dear John cease and desist letters. OpenAI stepped around the back and basically acquired it. What they did was they took OpenClaw and they made it open source, which is what the guy that basically set it up, and he went to go work for OpenAI. So now it's got the funding it needs because it gets expensive too, right? So people are buying Mac Minis. They're buying a Mac Mini for $600. They're basically throwing this thing, but a lot of times there weren't a lot of guardrails around it, and so now people are spinning stuff off that's going into the cloud, and in some cases it was doing bad things, right? So replying to emails that were clickbait, you know, and were devious and vicious. And, you know, in one case, somebody lost their keys because it got into the keys and put them out there. So you have to be careful. AI without proper guardrails is going to be an absolute nightmare. But that was you saw what happened, and the new models that just came out. And if you can tell, I'm highly into AI, but the two models that came out in February, the first week of February, I think it's so game changing. We're in a totally different place. I mean, it's gone years into the future, and what I expect to happen in 2026 because of AI, I think a lot of things are going to change, especially in finance. I think finance is really going to benefit from it. And one of the cool things that I was going to get to is that OpenClaw. One of the things that happened is somebody went out and built a website just for these agents to go do things and interact with other AI agents. Right, the first time. Cool. There's also another site out there that AI agents go to be able to hire humans. That's the greatest thing in the world. It's like AI agents hiring real people on behalf of your human, in the real world.
Right.
So it's fantastic. We got here a couple questions here. The first one here was here we go. 55. Inter 55 says, you guys think the 4-year cycle still applies? I personally don't. And here we have yeah, right here. Here's Chad saying the 4-year Bitcoin halving cycle split from the business debt cycle. It has. And also, too, you got to remember, in the United States, I think it's a little bit different, too. That drives a lot of what happens in the world is the fact that we haven't had market clarity, where a lot of other countries have had it. UK's had it for a long time. You know, other places in Europe, Australia, you know, Japan, Singapore, a lot of these countries have really benefited from this clarity. And a big driver of that has to be the U.S. And for it's coming. It's not there fast enough. Mark Smithson says AI says 250 to 750, a price range cited for basic settlement roll. $9 to 18 estimated price of XRP were to facilitate roughly 10 trillion in annual transactions.
It's interesting. You have to then assess where the AI is getting their data from. How are they coming up with these numbers?
Right. What flavor?
AI, right. AI still will hallucinate certain things like that. And that's where you got to be kind of careful, especially how you prompt it. So if you have data and say, I want you to work within this data set, here's the last couple of years, here's the parameters, operate only within these parameters. Otherwise, you know, that's where it starts. As good as it is, it still hallucinates. Which is
spot on. Saying Claude AI is going to take. Well, you saw what happened when
it's going to happen quick.
You saw what happened when you announced that you can now code Cobalt, and all of a sudden, boom, stock tanks. You saw a lot of stocks tanks. ServiceNow, which has done a complete new pivot, where they've gone from what was basically a service, a platform stuff. They're totally going to. They had a couple of recent acquisitions and stuff too. So it's interesting to see what that company is going to do if they can make the pivot, a late pivot, and also SaaS-based software is going to be highly affected by AI Because why would
Well,
you?
that's
It used
gonna go away.
the old mantra was buy versus build, right? So I mean, I sell SaaS software, so I an enterprise level, and it's if you have the buy versus build mentality, great. You don't have the time to be messing around with your engineers, but now with Claude Code, right? With
Nope.
you know, it's gone beyond vibe coding. I mean, vibe coding was fun. I mean, I think this you calling that vibe coding is a little bit
Too many
stupid.
people are building. A lot of people that I talk to are building stuff internally already.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? So you don't, you know, it's like, oh, I need a CRM that does this and this. Okay, I'll just build it. Great. Before that was painstakingly difficult. And especially the way it can debug, you know, especially you got to leash it and find, you know, sometimes you fix something in the code and you stage it to QA, you know, your quality assurance platform, your, you know, testnet, you go from testnet to production. A lot of what happens sometimes is something you didn't realize it because you're only testing one little part of it, but you upload it and then it breaks something else in the app. Whoa. Because maybe there were some dependencies there as you didn't see. This is where AI can fix, where it might take a human or a team of humans to kind of go through the code and try to figure it out. AI rips through there and figures it out. So a lot of these jobs are going away. These sort of what they used to call entry level jobs. And what's happening in Florida, too bad Jim D's not in here. I don't know if Jim D's popped in here, but this is what I've said. Like what Florida has on the ballot for November is to get rid of property taxes for owner occupants. If you own your home, you live in it full time, you know, year round, you're not going to pay property taxes. Businesses, apartments, you know, Airbnbs, rentals, all this kind of stuff, still going to pay. You know, and Jim D's argument was like, "Oh, what they're going to do?" I'm like, figure it the F out. Why? Because we figure out what we do with our money.
But we're not gonna have a lack though. We're gonna have so much income coming in as it stands right now.
AI will fix it though. But AI,
we don't need the income.
It'll fix most of the bloat that goes on there.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't see that ever happening. That's why the stablecoin bill was so important to the U.S. because it props up.
XRP won't replace the U.S. dollar.
It never will.
I don't see that ever.
There's no way ever.
Ever.
There's no reason to.
I don't see a path for it to happen. I'm never going to say it'll never happen because crazy things have happened.
Well, I want to say never, but it doesn't make any sense to do it. I mean,
I just don't see it happen.
A stablecoin back in the dollar. I mean, it could take another form. It could be a substitute, but I don't see it being a substitute for that.
It can go into treasury. I think XRP, Bitcoin, others will be in the treasury, but it'll never be a substitute for currency.
RLUSD is not doing that.
Well, RLUSD could definitely is something that it could pay if it's pegged to the dollar. It's stable. It's a transactional asset, whereas XRP is not really a transactional asset. None of them were meant to be transactional assets because of the moves in valuation. You can't live like that. You can't live with these, especially since we still have sovereign currency. If you want to say that everything is now pegged to the Bitcoin and that's it, and Bitcoin is your currency, but you're still having massive swings. I mean, that swings to the dollar. So as Bitcoin is increasing or the dollar is increasing or decreasing in value, per the Bitcoin. Does the Bitcoin change if all prices is converted to Bitcoin or to XRP? I guess you could say it could change, but right. Alexander said it was meant to be a bridge currency. It's definitely from a transactional perspective, the technology, the XRP utilized within the base systems as a bridge. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to where these currencies are going to be utilized. It's interesting because as we see building on the XRPL, now that you have RLUSD in a transactional, even a bridge, if you're using it as a bridge currency, RLUSD is going to be a better bridge currency potentially than XRP at this point.
That's it right there. Jeff says, Jeff TZ8FH says more and more, I think real world utility will determine price over cycles. And and it'll flesh out a lot of the other cryptos, right? Brad Garlinghouse famously said that 99% of cryptos going to zero. It's not going to work. So that's something. Also, this is why the stablecoin bill was so important right there.
Put it up
again. RLUSD will preserve the US dollar as the world reserve currency. That's exactly right. And if you look at there's a euro. Every country has their own, but what are the most popular ones and which get a lot of adoption overseas? This is why with Trump wanting a position and Congress wanting a position that stablecoin bill to be first, only because it's what it's what keeps the value, right? That's all backed by the US dollar. So as that grows and transactional value grows, like Jeff was talking about, and you start getting into the trillions, yeah, that's good for the US dollar. That's why if you look at all the, Jeff, when all that BRICS was going on, BRICS is going to do this. I'm like, BRICS isn't going to do any of that. BRICS is never going to, it's never going to launch. They're going to talk and have meetings and talk pie in the sky. Those countries hate each other. Those countries are undependable. And what does it really come down to? Nothing. They just died on the vine. We're going to transact outside the U.S. world currency. We'll make our own. And meanwhile, all China wanted to do was to control everything. Then you had Brazil and India wanting to do it as well. So I'm like, it was destined to basically go out, you know.
And then Russia was in there also thinking they could control.
Everyone was there
to control and dominate.
Something weird. Yeah, there's a lot of weirdness going around. Reese Merrick over there from Ripple. He is the senior executive officer, managing director of Middle East and Africa. But he said Africa is leading the world in real world blockchain utility with the world's highest stablecoin adoption rate, almost 10%, 9.3%. The region isn't speculating; it's solving for cross-border trade. Think about that. That's like huge, right?
Almost what we were just saying.
Yeah, and this comes down to the other comment by Jeff the in the chat saying that it comes down to real world utility. With the world's highest stablecoin adoption rate, you have, he says, I recently joined partners from APSA, Yellow Card app, and Zeb Global, which is World Remit, Sendwave, to discuss how stablecoins are reshaping Africa digital infrastructure. And this was
but it's not a big guess as to why they're doing it. You have a region that is unstable financially and politically. They all want the US dollar. If they can transact in US dollar, they're going to be better off. If they can earn in US dollar, they're going to be better off. You also have an entire region where the vast majority of the population is unbanked, meaning they don't have ready access to banking infrastructure. They don't have checking accounts. They don't have savings accounts. They're not banking. They can't get loans on vehicles. They can't get loans on property. So if you have that kind of an environment, how do you fix that environment? At first, all these years, people have been talking about XLM, XRP, Bitcoin as a transactional currency. It never happened. It didn't take place. They tried it. It was all attempted. We saw all that stuff unfolding. It couldn't happen because of the bad valuation, because of the rapid movements in value. They were buying it, like in Lebanon when the banks were crashing, put their money into Bitcoin. Why? Because they felt more comfortable storing their value in Bitcoin, not because they wanted to use it as a transactional currency. They wanted to store a value. They wanted to place it someplace where even the moves of Bitcoin were safer than the devaluation of the Lebanese currency. Same thing like in Venezuela and as you travel around the world. But transactionally, what they're saying with the RLUSD is what we just said. That's like the perfect test case model. They're not even utilizing a crypto asset for day-to-day transaction. Why? Because they want the US RLUSD that's pegged back to the US dollar. They want the US dollar. That's what it's all about. A country like the United States will never give up its sovereign right to a currency unless you have the Democrats in charge.
Well, you have the Federal Reserve. That's giving up sovereignty, but
right. Yeah, I guess to that point, we did give up a little bit of our sovereignty. But it's still, our treasury still mints the USD, even though the Federal Reserve holds USD, but the treasury will mint it. So at least they have the coining rights. Whereas, with all these other countries, they're struggling. But I don't see. I mean, once we move away from the central bank system, obviously that's a big thing that has to, get fixed. But you get the RLUSD, you're almost instinctively moving away from the Federal Reserve also. Right. So there's the power struggle right now. If you could use the RLUSD in Africa as a test case, peg back to the US dollar, and now you're undermining the central bank because they're not needed at that point.
Yeah, 100%.
Am I wrong?
No, I don't think you're wrong at all. I mean, it's an exciting time to be alive right now. I mean, it just gets better and better. If you're lucky enough to sit through the last revolution, which was before blockchain came along. We basically had the personal computer thing changed so many things. And then you had the internet. The internet changed a bunch of stuff. And then you have blockchain. Now you have AI. I mean, AI will be the single biggest one. But this next story is a little bit disturbing, Jeff. I have to tell you, like, I came across this and it was kind of shocking. with Jane Street, right? It's basically it's a trading firm. It was founded in 2000. They basically, the market makers in ETFs, equities, bonds, options, crypto, and they provide liquidity to financial markets. They have a heavy focus on quantitative research and software engineering, and they're active both in traditional finance. And so this story here is like disturbing because I have a feeling this is like one of those tip of the iceberg things. Like, yeah, we found this out, and like, boom, like what else is next? And this will make a lot of sense after you kind of like listen to this. But Jane Street was running an algorithm that basically dumped Bitcoin every single morning at 10 a.m. So every day for months, crashing the price, liquidating retail, buying back at lower. So they were manipulating the market, right? They do a big dump, price would crash, they'd buy in, price goes up, right? So you think about the market manipulation. The second they got sued, it stopped. So the 10 a.m. dump disappeared. Now Bitcoin just had the best day once. Okay.
That's right. Yep.
One trading firm, that's all it took to suppress the entire crypto market for months. So ask yourself, how much of the crypto price action is even real? How many people panic sold because the charts looked absolutely terrible? And so how many people actually got liquidated? How many billions were taken from regular people by just one single trading desk? And this is the one that got caught so far. So imagine if others like latched onto this. And here it is from Zero Hedge saying that Jane Street was behind the 2022 crypto winter, destroying Terraform by first depegging the token and then destroying the ecosystem, then pretending it would rescue Terra while effectively it was soaking up what little value remained. This is not good, man. And this kind of stuff, Jeff, do you think this is tip of the iceberg stuff? Like, I read this story and I'm thinking, okay, this has to be way more widespread.
I think it could. I mean, we saw. I think it goes in cycles because we saw what happened between Celsius and Sam Bankman-Fried's company. Right, there was some intrigue between the two of them. There was definitely there was a little moment at that time where things were discovered also, which liquidated people. And then we saw some controversy between them. Then we saw some controversy between Binance and Bang and what the heck was his? What was that? I can't even remember the name of his company. It used to be everywhere.
What what was SBF's company name? When you say that, I hate when people say that.
You blank out. I don't know why I blanked out on the company name. It was everywhere.
That's how relevant
FTX.
FTX. Yeah, FTX.
That's how relevant it is. But that's the point.
You know what's
that intrigue.
But you know what's going to stop, put an end to this forever? When Doge came in and started looking at the fraud, it's so complex. There were so many NGOs that were getting money, and then that would go and see if you don't put this stuff on the blockchain, you can't track it. But you know what figured it out? Really smart people leveraging AI. You couldn't figure it. Nobody could track it. This is what's put an end to all of this. And this kind of crap right here, AI is going to be one of the best watchdogs. They're going to find things that don't look right, and something. Like this crash every single day. They're going to look at what people are doing, this market manipulation stuff.
Well, according to Chad saying,
no, I don't think they didn't start it. No, that started in 2000. They weren't even around then. That's great to breaks. And then Sam Bankman-Fried, somehow, I don't know who's posting on his X account, but there's all kinds of crazy shit coming out of his X account. And he said this was an impropriety and the judge should have done this. I'm like, dude, you're going to be in jail for a long time. Just get comfortable, will you? So I saw this and I started looking through this stuff and like, this is bad, dude.
Yeah, there'll be a couple others that are tied up into this.
I'm like,
because FTX didn't operate on its own chip.
But look at this. Terraform Estate sues Jane Street over trades tied to the 2022 crypto market, which we just said it kind of crashed it. So Terraform Labs bankruptcy administrator is suing Jane Street, alleging that the quantitative trading firm used non-public information to profit at the height of the crypto. It's called insider trading, right? Non-public. And I love how they put that. Non-public information. Okay, yeah. Well, it was inside, wasn't it? People knew it.
Well, so they don't want to come out and use the terminology.
Right. It's like, non-public. What does that mean? They always go like these. So the lawsuit is around allegations that Jane Street obtained advanced insight into Terraform's internal liquidity decisions and position trades around those moves. Okay, so you had inside people kind of like discussing what was going on, and then they took advantage of that. And so Terra USD began to lose the dollar peg, and this is, from the Wall Street Journal article on Monday. And Jane Street abused market relationships to rig the market in favor. Well, yeah, I have a feeling this is just a little bit of iceberg going on, but we don't know. I mean, it could, hopefully it's not much deeper.
Just be them.
But
they bring them down.
Terra, dude. This company with this kind of outlandish behavior. I mean, allegedly, I'm not going to say they did. Allegedly, certainly looks a lot like that. That's what the lawsuit's over, and they'll have to figure it out because I don't know if that's what happened. There has to be bigger. There has to be more complicated things, but surely it probably didn't help.
Well, you'd have to see how much they were dumping. Were they dumping everything? If one big trade is, trade house is dumping massive amounts of a stock, obviously, the reaction can be massive. It depends how much they have, so as a percentage of everything that's out there being traded in that cycle. So if they're maximizing volume and their sell-off volume all of a sudden just peaks, everybody sees that sell-off volume. They don't know it's one firm selling off. They don't know it's one entity, especially if they can dump such a massive amount at 10 a.m. when the markets are slow, based on volume. They would have to, their volume would have to be so big. Now, so that's a question. Were they doing it on their own, or was it in a concerted effort with somebody else? Right now, it seems like they did it by themselves and they're being singled out. Otherwise, they would have already connected someone else with them.
Okay,
wouldn't have, it's
Chad's saying he started it at Jane Street. Okay, but he didn't found it. It wasn't his company. He worked.
He started. So he started where the fraud began. So he knows all about the fraud.
Yeah. So this is an interesting line. The case matters significantly because the court isn't just judging a trade anymore. It's setting a precedent that the privileged access in DeFi is a legal liability, not just a competitive advantage. And we're gonna have to watch this closely, but gives me a little bit of pause kind of for what's going on in the marketplace. I mean, that's, it's interesting. But anyway, let's shift gears so we can get through some of the stuff that we have today. We've got a whole bunch of stuff, Jeff.
And you put the agents in there.
We got a whole bunch of stuff to do. Anyway, let's get into I guess we could probably talk a little about State of the Union.
Go into that.
Let's go into that. I gotta say, I don't know who was working the camera last night.
Yes.
But as soon as Trump mentioned Somali pirates, the cut over to Omar, the squad.
That actor generator. Sorry,
yeah, I mean, well, but at that point, it was 17-year-old firm. It had been around since 2000. So, but let's listen to Trump right here.
The Somali pirates who ransacked Minnesota.
The Somali pirates who ransacked. I'm telling you, man, I was laughing so hard last night.
Remind us that there are large parts of the world where bribery, corruption, and lawlessness
they go to her. Look at that look.
The exception.
It's almost like he says Somali pirates, and the camera guy, okay, go cue in, go right on the squad there.
And this one here is looking at her. She's just like,
supporting these cultures through unrestricted immigration and open borders brings those problems right here to the USA.
She's gonna hold her hand.
And it is the American people who pay the price in higher medical bills, car insurance rates.
He's 100% so spot on, and he's not talking about people that came here legally and didn't commit fraud. He's talking about, people that either are here legally and committed massive fraud, or the majority that are here illegally and are committing massive fraud. They come from a region. This goes back to what we had talked about so many times before. You can't take a massive group of people in mass and just plant them in one area without an assimilation process. When you don't assimilate them into the new culture, they maintain whatever culture they came from. Corruption is a part of that culture. I don't care what you want to call it. If you go into that entire region, corruption is a part of the entire culture. That's how they exist. Go to India and go see how the corruptive nature in things work, just in kind of general everyday life. It's there. Go down to South America. Look at trade in different countries in South America. Go down to go anywhere in the world. The U.S. it's relatively regulated. Obviously, we're seeing, but it's there on like an everyday thing. Right here, you're not going and you're not paying somebody to get your goods out of customs. Obviously people can do it. Maybe big corporations are moving their money around. We see people getting book deals, in government and stuff like that. So we know that fraud is existing. I'm not saying it doesn't exist here, but like it's an everyday thing. It's just how life exists over there. But it's at such a level, they come here and they're taking advantage of the system.
Of course,
and that's it. And it's so easy to take advantage of it because we're a trusting society. And so now they're abusing the trust and they're doing all these things that, and here we go. And she's behind, she's a big part of the problem. You know, she needs to go. You know, so.
This is an interesting comment from Jeff TZ. He says, Trump's masterclass on how to irritate the opposition. The Dems showed what they stand for and let all America see it. All you have to do is take a few clips of like the things that didn't. I mean, you can't stand up for an abused kid. I mean, how about a kid that got hit by an illegal that wasn't expected to live or even function, and she was there? I mean, I'm sure she's got some things going on, but I mean, that was a moving, touching moment. How about the helicopter pilot that flew in under, ripped through these bullets ripped through his legs. He could, when you fly a helicopter, you need my nephew's a helicopter pilot, and you have to use your feet and your hands. And man, his feet were all, he cut through the thing. The guy couldn't even walk. He's using a walker. And if you looked at the stripes on his arm, every one of those stripes is 6 months in combat. So I counted him up. I had like almost 5 years in combat. It's incredible. So this, these are heroes. And then somewhere else I heard him going, "Oh, you get a medal, you get a medal." I'm like, you don't make light of these are. Why is that a partisan thing? These are American heroes. Like, they should be celebrated. How can you not get up for that?
Exactly. And Devon is saying, you take people from the hottest part of the world and you put them in one of the coldest part of the world that happens to be a swing state, and you're going to say it's not planned. Exactly. How do you uproot people that it doesn't make any sense. You don't take someone from a desert climate and say, here you go, now go coexist in the north where there's snow and your climate. It's not even the same. Like, zero similarity.
Let's watch this next clip. Look at this.
Sanctuary cities that protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country.
Look at this guy looking down his nose. They think they're so smart.
These people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
You should be ashamed. This is the greatest. This is the greatest ever. They look like a bunch of petulant kids. And you know what the best thing was, Jeff? I'm looking at JD Vance and I'm looking at the speaker, and they kept like looking at each other and like making little laughs and like joking around. They were having the time of their lives back there, man. They were because Trump went off script a lot. He went off script a lot, so he'd make these little jokes and just he was so loose, fluid. I mean, I absolutely loved it, man. It was just absolutely fantastic.
That's when the hockey team came in.
Yeah, I mean, that was good. I got that clip there too, but I thought that was just fantastic. And those two, squad members, they are a little bit nutso, right? So you have, but it turns out this is what we got a better microphone on what she was saying right here, Jeff. Check this out.
Definitely a road.
Yeah, check this out, Jeff.
I asked for double onions on my quarter pounder, and you put no onions on it. Shame on you!
That's because your breath already smells like a goat's ass.
You son of a bitch!
I mean, AI might be the greatest thing just for these dumb memes. I mean, really. I mean, they really are the best, right? And I saw this one too. Maybe
Stephen Hines said they didn't even stand up to show belief in government. The government should protect Americans.
That was the most telling one of all. I'm like, that's the most. And I posted that on I posted that on X, and I'm like, this is one of the most bipartisan moment ever. And he set him up for it. Stand up if you think the government's role is to support the American citizen, not illegals. Didn't move. Oh, that was crazy. So here it turns out that maybe Ilhan Omar is a pirate. Look at this.
Somali pirates who ransacked Minnesota remind us that there are large parts of the world where bribery, corruption, and lawlessness are the norm, not the exception. Importing these cultures through unrestricted immigration and open borders brings us problems right here to the USA.
And if you're watching at home, if you're listening at home, she takes off her headscarf, which you're in America, okay, number one. That's part of the not assimilating, okay? Then because there's no laws around headscarves here, she puts on a pirate hat that says Pirate Queen on it with the pirate patch over her eye with the sword. Yeah. I mean, there's so many memes. I couldn't grab them all. There's just too many of them, but they're so fantastic. I mean, and then this was my favorite line last night. This is my favorite line last night, Jeff. Coming up.
Look, nobody stands up. These people are crazy. I'm telling you, they're crazy.
I'm telling you, they're crazy.
I'm telling you. You got mad. He was getting mad because they are. They wouldn't stand up for anybody. Nothing.
Boy, oh boy. We're lucky we have a country. With people like this, Democrats are destroying our country, but we've stopped it just in the nick of time, didn't we?
I just want to hear that one more time. These people are crazy. I'm telling you, they're crazy. God, well, that's after and remember they stood for something. He goes, "Oh, you stood for that?" Like,
exactly. Yeah, but they wouldn't stand for anybody else.
Look at the look. Look at this is great. The look.
Yeah.
He just gives that.
Look, nobody stands up. These people are crazy. I'm telling you.
Look at Vance laughing his ass off. Look at him laughing.
I couldn't believe it.
If you ever laugh so much during a State of the Union, God, they're so boring. Look at JD Vance, okay?
I know.
And look at the speaker's face. Watch them they start cracking up. Look at them, they're very serious, stoic.
Are crazy. I'm telling you. They're crazy.
They're crazy.
Crazy.
That's the greatest thing ever. These people are crazy. They destroyed the country. He triggered the hell out of them, dude. He absolutely triggered the. And you know, somebody wanted to. You know, Jeff, do you remember? There was that show a long time ago. It was called The Muppet Show or something like that. I saw it. You remember the reruns around
The Muppet Show?
Remember the Muppet Show?
Yeah, I remember that.
So there's a Muppet Show that was on The Muppet Show, and they had guests on every day. So this is funny because Dave Rubin said, you know, if the two old guys in the balcony and the Muppets had sex changes and became jihadists, right? You remember it was Statler and Waldorf. Remember these two old? They would hit each other and laugh. They were in the balcony to make jokes and stuff. So he said, well, that would be them. If the two old guys in the balcony, the Muppets had sex changes and became jihadists. Okay. So then somebody said, ask and you shall receive. So they made them into Muppets. Look at the Muppets got the headscarf. It looks, Jeff, it looks just like
them.
My God. It honest to God looks just like them. Look at that. It's unbelievable, uncanny.
It's totally them.
They're Muppets. It says balcony box right there. They got their own balcony and they're
oh my God.
Gosh, I'm telling you.
That is the best ever.
It really is. So, you know, you think like, well, I saw some clips. I saw CNN. They were talking about it. I saw CBS was talking about it, saying the Democrats did not show well, not getting up. But look at this CNN poll. Let me see what you think of this CNN poll. Look at this.
The crush.
Speech watchers tonight, 64% say his policies will move the U.S. in the right direction. Yep. And look at the growth President Trump made over the speech. So pre-speech, it was 54% of speech watchers said his policies will move the U.S. in the right direction. After the speech, that number goes up 10 percentage points. So Donald Trump made some progress with people watching the speech from their pre-speech expectations to what they saw in the speech itself. And that 64% number, that's pretty much in range across all of his State of the Union addresses in his first term, last year, the joint session. That's about what we've seen is roughly 2/3 have walked away from his speeches thinking he's going to move it in the right direction.
So a lot of red meat for the base.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. If you're a Republican on the ballot in 2026, I think you leave this speech being as happy as you could possibly be that he sort of stuck to the script on the economy. He gave red meat to the base on immigration, and they can leave the hall tonight and sort of take that out on.
Look at how depressed they are,
the campaign trail.
I know. And like when he won the first time around,
look at them on the left there. They just look like they just lost their best friend. And fake Tapper can't believe what he's hearing. And who's the woman next to him? What's her name? God, she is like sourpuss.
They're all irrelevant. They're all irrelevant. Every single one of them.
0 ratings. They've been kept alive. You know what's so funny is those NGOs were funding a lot of these networks, keeping these shows alive, keeping the late shows alive. Because, you know, It's all a facade, dude. They're right. They're being crushed. I mean, nobody watches the stupid stuff.
But there's what we've said for so long, that they pretended like they're the majority. This is, and they, because of media, because of the way they pushed out on social media, I've said it the whole time. You and I have talked about it for a long time. They're fringe. This nut job, what we see with like Ilhan Omar and Tlaib, but Fringe has a loud voice, and then the media gave him a louder voice. And so you think that this is the normalcy. And then they allowed, the chaos to go in schools and allowing boys into women, to girls' locker rooms, and then boys and men into women's sports and girls' sports. They've undermined the narrative. Most people, this country throughout history has always been right of center. And anyone can try to refute that. I don't care. But this country lives right of center. It doesn't live in the fringe left because they're lunatics. And, it doesn't exist there. It can't exist there. The reason why it'd always be right of center is because of the financial makeup of the country, because of the way our freedoms are structured, because of our Second Amendment, because of the First Amendment, because of the American dream, because of, everybody wanting to build that American dream and entrepreneurship. Right of center. This left nonsense and socialism and Democrat socialism, this stuff is so fake, and it's meant to destroy us from within, that it's a mockery. What's going on in Minnesota, Michigan, New York, it's a mockery of this country. And we've seen like the undermining of it by the media, by the leftists, by the Democrats, to convince us that somehow they're a majority. They're not even 50% of the country.
No,
because they're independents. They're small. Like what we just saw, they're probably less than 35% of the country. They're even smaller than that.
That's a good question. Did Mike Johnson tear up the speech? Remember that time where Nancy Pelosi did? He had a good dig at Nancy Pelosi if she stood up. Did you see she stand up? That was a great line. I think I have that somewhere. I'll have to pull it up. But here is the one where he brought. This was a great tie-in to the hockey team. I love how he tied this together.
Our country is winning again. In fact, we're winning so much that we really don't know what to do about it. People are asking me, please, 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 Mr. President, we're winning too much. We can't take it anymore. We're not used to winning in our country. Until you came along, we're just always losing, but now we're winning too much. And I say, no, 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 you're going to win again. You're going to win big. You're going to win bigger than ever. And to prove that point, here with us tonight is a group of winners who just made the entire nation proud. The men's gold medal Olympic hockey team. Come on in.
How amazing is that?
And the Democrats didn't even stand up for that.
The lefties are losing it because Kash Patel was in the locker room basically downing beers left and right. And they're like, he's raiding taxpayer money and why isn't he working? I was like, well, number one, it was a Sunday. Number one, he's allowed to travel and have a life. Okay. I'm like, And
he was for meetings already. He was already in the region.
Right. He was in the region. It wasn't like he flew over there for that. And they're the one that invited him back. He didn't invite himself. So, and then the fact that everyone on this team is a patriot, everybody, and now the left was so mad. They can't even take pride in winning because now they're like, I mean, Trump made a joke in the locker room. He says, I'm going to have to invite the women too. And found out that the women didn't care about that comment. They're going to the White House anyway. This timing didn't work for them. Okay. So everyone trying to make something out of it and saying, oh, they're going to go to Canada and celebrate. Shut up. They're not.
They're not going to Canada to celebrate.
They're not going to Canada to celebrate. But what a proud moment. It's just really fantastic. Look at those boys. I mean, do you think they'd be at the State of the Union being celebrated? Look at Connor Halibut, man. What a freaking... People like all the Canadians were like, oh, we dominated the game. I said, yeah, but you know who dominated you? His name was Connor Halibut. He kicked your ass, okay? Saved everything. That stick behind him thing with that save from above, oh, man, legendary. But, they were lethargic, Jeff. I mean, on the 5-on-3, They sauntered back. Let me go with the puck, and they passed it around.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm like, it's 5-on-3 for a gold medal round. Where was the hustle? When they came out of when they came out of into the overtime, you saw the hustle. Beat one guy, flip it over there. He's flipping
and
around.
over.
He passes it back, and then boom, takes the shot. I mean, I'm sorry, that wasn't dominating. That was dominating is what the U.S. did in that game. And did they have? Does Canada have better players? 100%. They should have won that game. They just didn't. They don't have winning. Well, they don't have winning mentality. They just when it comes down to it. So JD noticed something during this thing. Check this out, Jeff. JD noticed something about the Democrats. Listen to this.
That probably most TV viewers didn't see was really the cowardice, because there were a few Democrats who sort of politely clapped. They didn't want to stand up. I guess maybe they were worried about being primaried by the far left fringe of their party. But they were all looking around. They weren't actually saying, you know what? I'm going to stand and support this because this is a common sense, obvious statement. They were all looking around for cues from their colleagues because they didn't have the courage to stand on their own. And that, more than anything, Bill, is the saddest commentary on the Democratic Party, that not only will they not stand for the idea that Americans should come first, they won't even have the courage of their convictions. They lean on the person to their left and their right rather than actually have some conviction. That is unfortunately what's true about Democrats in Washington today.
Isn't that incredible?
That's smart. I mean, that's such a good observation, and he's spot on. Now, the problem is, if you have people with that kind of cowardice, how are they even managing to truly govern? Right? I mean, what are they doing in Congress? How are they negotiating and doing things and voting? And it makes no sense. I don't want those people representing our country, because of the cowardice.
Right.
They can't even stand on their own merit, for them to be, such Autobots.
Look at
that
this.
means they're taking a cue from somebody.
Look at this one here. This one is the baby version, but this is what. So the other thing that I love, when he brought up Pelosi's name, and then he talked about the insider trading bill. I'm like, this was so perfect. 100%. Look at this.
As we ensure that all Americans can profit from a rising stock market, let's also ensure that members of Congress cannot corruptly profit from using insider information.
Elizabeth Warren stood up for that.
Yeah, he did stand up a couple times.
Did you see who that is, Jeff?
Ensure that all Americans can.
Which one?
That's Debbie Wasserman Blabbermouth Schultz. There's Warren.
Yeah.
There's Hegseth, right? And there's Ted Bundy, right? And then wait till you see. There she is. There's
my God.
Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz.
Oh my God, that's great. Oh my God.
It's so funny. You can see the face as a bait. It's unbelievable, man.
I don't know how they do this.
And look at Johnson and Vance in the background. See, they wanted to stand up, but they're like, look at this. Look at this. Look at Nancy Pelosi.
Those stupid pins they had on release the files. What files do they want to be released?
They were released. Have you guys been paying attention? It's all Democrats in there. Hello. Exactly. Look at this nut job. She looked like a nut job as a baby, too. I can't think of that guy next to him. It's Chris something.
They stood up for that. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Did Nancy Pelosi stand up if she was here?
Oh, look.
Doubt it. Pass the Stop Insider Trading Act without delay.
He brings up Nancy Pelosi. That's the greatest thing ever.
That was awesome.
How good was that, man?
That was Mark say the division created completely by Democrats. How many times does POTUS have to congratulate the women's gold medal winning?
Right, 100%, dude.
It's crazy. And here's the other thing: lefties on impacts. They do. It's part of a mentality. You can attribute that to.
Was Fetterman there last night? No.
Fetterman was there. He actually stood up a couple times.
He did stand up. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And then look at this one here. This is El Presidente El Trumpo.
Muchachos, this is your Presidento El Senor Donaldo J. Trumpo. Well, I told you to stop fucking aroundo, sending your fentanilo to El USA. And now, El Senor Mencho and his cartello has find outo. So for the last time, if your name is Chapo, Mencho, Pancho, or Nacho, Stop making drogos and start making tacos. Comprende? Muchas gracias, amigos.
What is that?
Oh my God.
No, Jeff, the funniest thing that we heard from, I'm going to transition to Mandami. The funniest thing we heard from Mandami last week was, dude, we don't have the money. We're going to have to raise the rainy, day fund. We're going to have to take it from people's pensions. We got to raise taxes 10% because we can't tax the rich people because the governor won't let us. That was last week. This week, check out what they're doing.
Hola.
So now I'm gonna do the translation for the people listening on the pod here. But here's Mandami and there's AOC, two brain dead, barely humanoids. He says, my Spanish is a little rusty. She says, don't worry, Mayor. If your child is turning 3 or age 4 in 2026, you can enroll them in free 3K or pre-K in New York City. But you must apply by February 27th, which is the deadline. Any New York City parent, regardless of your occupation, income, or immigration status, is eligible to sign up their child. So they didn't have money, Jeff, like just days ago. They had to go to the rainy day fund, but now illegals can sign up for free healthcare. I mean, free daycare.
Right.
What?
Yep. And they're so excited about it.
I don't even understand. And the last thing we're going to leave everybody with tonight is an Aussie, because the Aussies
Quality Leering Center, New York.
Leering. That would never happen.
Leering in New York.
So here's an Aussie that wasn't taking it from the press here. I love these Aussies that stand up. This is fantastic.
Has to constantly fund Victoria Police taking me to courts for just more nonsense, offensive behaviour charges.
Is it nonsense though? Because the taxpayer wasn't happy with what they saw at that rally.
Well, you don't speak for the taxpayer. You're part of a corporate entity that is anti-Australia. So you don't actually speak for the Australian people. You're a nefarious agent of the mainstream media. So I think you'll find the average Australian does not want thousands or millions of illegal Indian immigrants staying in the country. And that's what we were protesting against. There were thousands of self-entitled, despicable people that think it's their right to be a part of our nation. And they were protesting outside Tony Burke's office, who, might I add, deported healthy, wholesome white families from this country. Shut up, you fat dork. Film this fucking loser. Look at these freaks. You're a fat, disgusting dork. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, Tony Burke, no, listen.
There's drama.
There is always drama, but it's not seeking attention to me, it's seeking attention to the issue. And the primary issue in Australia and the whole Western world is white replacement. That is the primary issue. That's the only thing we actually want to talk about. And you're looking at your phone, you're looking at how to change the subject, because the media do not want to talk about this subject. They don't want to talk about white replacement. We want to reverse the process. We don't want Australia turning into a third world country. We don't want it turning into India. We don't want it turning into Sudan. We want it to remain Australian. That is the primary issue. And you always want to change the subject and attack the man. You don't want to play the fucking important game. You want to attack the man. You don't want to attack the idea. You don't want to touch on white replacement. You want to touch on my personal behavior. Not guilty.
Thank you. Done.
Oh yeah, fuck you. Fuck you. You're scum. They don't want to talk about the big issues. What they want to talk about is, are you guilty or are you not guilty for this minutia that doesn't matter? We protested foreign immigrants that are demanding that they stay in the country. And we protested that. We said you shut the fuck up. We said that was self-entitled, that it was disrespectful, that it was anti-Australian. And we said an ancient Australian proverb. Fuck.
It's
so funny. He's there to give an interview.
And then Brandon
commenting on other people as they walk by. You shut the fuck up.
F you. F all of you. I'll get you all. And she had that smug face with the microphone, looking at her phone.
Yep, exactly.
Like, are you done yet? I mean, and he called her out on it. Oh man, you gotta love that. You really do have to love it. Valid crash out, absolutely.
Oh my god!
Hell yes, my hero.
We need more Australians saying that.
That was fantastic, man. It was really.
We need more New Yorkers talking like that.
Yeah, the Aussies do fight back, man. I mean, they're not going to sit around and wait for these scumbags. So, anywho, that's
like in England. I don't know.
I don't know about England, dude. I don't think I used to think there was a shot, but I'm not even sure. I think Tommy Robinson's moving here. I saw him show up in the U.S. I thought
he's here now.
Maybe but what they're going to grant, I think they're going to grant asylum to people that are like persecuted or, dealt with. And so then you have another scenario where all the people who cared left. They're just going to leave. But bring them here because they're all right-minded and they're critical thinking.
They want to come here to Florida. Hell yeah.
I love the guy too. He's fantastic. Useful idiots to mind. Yeah. It's just unbelievable. So, we'll see what ends up happening. But there you go. There you have it, people. That's it.
That's all we got. That was a good show.
We have an hour 5. Look at that. We did it quicker than we thought.
That's it. That's all we got for tonight. We'll be back Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with more great content.
More great stuff. More great stuff to talk about.
More great stuff to cover. More great content. More crypto. More intrigue. More geopolitics. And that's it.
And you want to know, I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm pretty sure that on Saturday, Mamdani is the gift that keeps giving. This guy is like an endless source of just constant heat. And I've said is they got the call to prayer going off at 5 a.m. in the morning. I said the problem with that is it's not loud enough. It needs to sound like a Metallica concert outside your window. I want the pain cranked up to 20. I want it to be so painful for New Yorkers that their ears bleed, because I want that call to prayer going off at 5 a.m. Because otherwise they're like, we'll just get used to it. We'll just put earplugs in. I want it to be so loud that earplugs aren't going to make a difference. You have to feel the pain.
That's it. Devon is saying UK citizens being granted asylum. Can you believe how low we have gone in such short a space? Well, that's because the state's not fighting back.
We'll bring the best of the world here, man. We'll bring them. They already come. I mean, the whole thing is, this is the whole thing. People are like, you're against them. No, immigration is an important part of this country, but these people come, they work hard and they assimilate. They bring part of their culture, but they assimilate in this culture. But if you're going to bring things that don't have anything to do with the United States, like Sharia law, that's and about dominance and treating women like slaves. I mean, can't be educated. I mean, it's and these same people who are sitting there bitching about little things, and women they can basically beat them anytime they want. They can have sex with any women they want. They can do whatever they want, and they're like, oh, I guess we're fine with that. You are? That's horrific.
Albert passing the whole thing, marriage with cousins. Where was it? Was it Michigan? In Michigan and Hamtramck, they can have animal slaughter.
Yeah, animal slaughter is the latest one. Yeah,
this is and where the PETA activists? Where's PETA?
Right,
they're the animal rights activists in the United States. I get it. Hey, you're in another country. PETA normally goes all over the world. Where are they in Michigan protesting it? Where are all the veganism, the vegan people that will protest restaurants, and where they're nowhere to be found because they're such fucking hypocrites.
No, they're not getting paid to protest that. That's the whole point. No, that's not a narrative that's important.
It's not important to them.
Yeah, so
they don't care. I don't care about stuff.
We can go on for another 3 hours.
They don't really care about animals.
They don't care about anything. They just care about what they're paid to the pay to play type of thing. So anyway, guys, that's all we have. We will see you on Saturday. Have a great rest of your week. And Jeff out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.